by Hearts and Minds and the Focus 5 team. I am your host, Cory Aldridge, and we have here, it is drippy in here today. It is wet. We have the bringer of rain up in here, Josh Donaldson.
What's up?
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. Just excited to see what we got to talk about today.
Well, you know, we've had multiple conversations over the years, I would say. First, I got to tell you something, though. You don't remember this. You may not. You ruined my life because you got me in the rabbit hole of hitting. So, I think you were with Oakland. I think you were rehabbing, and I was on first base, and I was having a pretty good game. And you're like, man, how do you get your barrel so deep? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like,
yeah.
You're like, you work your barrel back here, and I'm like, word, and I'm like, all right, cool. And that sent me down this rabbit hole of like, I got to figure what he's talking about out. We talked about hitting and whatnot, and all the turn the barrel stuff back in the Tewksbury days and things like that. But that little bit of like 30-second conversation of, I think at the time that you were playing first base or something, but got me down this rabbit hole of hitting. And so now I spend my days trying to figure it out all the time, as we all do. But I hate you, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think what I remember about you so well is like you used the whole field. I mean, you could go deep backside just as well as you could pull side, maybe if even better backside. So it was always like that was always when I knew I was swinging it well, is when I could feel like I could leave that way. So I was always interested in seeing how guys did that.
I just thought it was disrespectful to take somebody deep opposite field, man, especially like in a plus count. Like I just felt like, I grew up watching Fred McGriff, and like you'd always see that helicopter swinging, the ball's going out to left center, and like my feeling, I think we talked about it a long time ago, was like I wanted to feel like I was pulling the ball to left center, pulling the ball to the opposite gap. Everybody has their thing, but yeah, man, but you took me down that rabbit hole, and I think me, your boy Adam, we've been talking about swings now for years. It's probably 2000.
Yeah.
Crap, I don't know how long. It's been a long time now, but so sad time for the Jays. I'm disappointed. How do you feel about the state of baseball right now?
The state of baseball, I mean, I think it's in like I will say this. I think this past World Series was one of the best World Series that we've had in a long time.
It was exciting.
I think it kind of lit a fire for baseball, and people are excited about the state of the game right now. And I definitely think that there's stuff that they could do better, obviously, and not to say that the game is terrible. It's not terrible, but I mean, there are aspects of the game that could be cleaned up, that could be better. But at the same time, like the talent level that's at the major league level is, I don't want to say it's at an all-time high, but it's up there for sure. I mean, like when you had the Bonds, the Griffeys, and now you have Joe Hayes, and Cal Riley hit 60+ homers. You got Aaron Judge. I mean, that's been doing this thing for a while now. You got a lot of guys across the league, and arms are really good now. I mean, everybody's throwing 100. So, yeah, I mean, the state of the game, it is the best right now, but I definitely think from like a mental standpoint, it could definitely be better.
I think there's a lot of players that have a lot of potential and ability. The fundamental part of the game, whether it be defense, offense, situationally, I don't think that is being taught like it was, maybe especially when me and you were playing or I was playing. They don't take a lot of the small, intricate things into consideration, like even just getting behind balls, the fundamental stuff like situational hitting, what to look for. Everybody can swing the bat. Everybody has great swings, but maybe not the best bat control. Everybody has great swings, but maybe not knowing how to hit. And I think, in my opinion, a lot of that's because we've taken some of the veteranism out of the game, and everything is young. And you got guys now that are super young just figuring it out, which can be good. Like one of my favorite guys to watch right now is Nick Kurtz from Oakland.
Yeah, nice swing.
Love watching that guy. Again, backside guy, but he's learning how to hit, but he's going to be a pretty good hitter because he is a backside guy. He can go to the opposite field really well. And but that's one thing I see out there in the game right now is like, it's like I said, guys can. There's a lot of lot of athleticism, a lot of great potential players, but I just feel like everything is so numbers driven with analytics versus like not a lot of feel. And I just think some of the veteranism that's helping guys how to become big leaguers is not there like it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, especially at the end of my career, I mean, analytics, everybody had a analytics department.
Yeah.
And, you're talking, and for me, I was never like, screw analytics. I was like, teach me if there's something that I can learn and that I think is going to make me better, tell me. Like, I want to know. But then there would be like, to your point, it'd be like eighth inning and they got me, or eighth or ninth inning, and we're down by, or we're up by 1 run, and they got me 15 feet over off the line. And they want me off the line because, to cover more range at that point. But I go, look, if a ball gets to my 6 hole, we got man on first. We're good.
Yeah.
If a ball gets hit down the corner over here, now we're in trouble. Like now, to where, or even like, so I think like situationally, awareness has gotten out of the game a little bit, just for the fact it's more like, hey, let's play the percentages.
Everything.
And I definitely think over the course of 162 that helps you, but even in that 162, there's a play here or there that could have changed the game. And I definitely, I was always there to, I don't want to say push back, but to say like, hey, this is, as a player, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I know that you haven't been on the field before, but here's what it is. I want you to understand what this is, what I'm thinking, and what I think is winning baseball. Tell me if I'm wrong and how I'm thinking and if I should change. And most of the time it was a give and take. And ultimately, I'd say probably a lot of players didn't think about the game the way that I did. Being a former catcher, I was thinking about
you're always
everything going on in the game versus just like, all right, what am I doing? Like, I already knew what I was doing. I know what I needed to do. So, and I was always, and plus in the game, there's a lot of downtime of like where you're kind of thinking and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for your team to have buy-in factor and to all right, hey, if this is who we are as a team and this is who we are as an organization, like we all need to buy into this. And I needed to know why,
I got my last couple of years. I left a lot of money on the table retiring. I would say I would retire maybe a year or two too early. I was older, but I had some opportunities. But I came back to the States. I had an opportunity to go to Japan, and I was actually with the Blue Jays organization. They sent me to AAA. They're like, hey, man, we want you to come here. There's a possibility you go to the major. Like, all right, cool, word. Like they gave me a Japan buyout. And like my first day getting there, or first like week getting there, the first game we played at the Yankees and was it Scranton or something. And I'm like 2 for 2 with a bomb. I ended up being like 3 for 3, 2 bombs, and like a double. Come in the clubhouse the next day, and we have this like computer guy. He's 28 maybe, for fresh out of college or something. Nice guy, but he's always walking around with a computer talking about showing guys swings. He's like, man, your angles are off. I'm like, what are you talking about? My angles are off, bro. I think Severino was the guy I hit him off of, the two of them. I'm like, one of them was like 96 in my face. The other one was like a slider down and away. And he goes, well, your angles are, I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, bro, have you ever hit 95? Or have you ever hit sliders? Like, I'm like, why are you talking to me? I go, all these angles aren't the same. I go, there's no cookie cut, like, if the ball's down the middle to a certain degree, I want to have whatever launch angle, things like that are optimal for whatever player it is. Everybody's different. But that used to drive me nuts after a while because it became it has to be this way versus that's been working for a long time. And I know, like, man, you had the conversation during the season one time a little bit about that. Like, they're throwing numbers at you, but then at the same time, it's like, well, can you fix it?
Right.
Versus just give me the numbers. Like, thank you for the analytics, but who's going to help me, especially during the season? Now, in the off season, we all have specialty hitters and coaches and things like that. But like you said,
I agree with that whole. And I think that's where baseball, to me, that's the biggest. I don't want to say downfall. That's not the right word. That's the biggest separation right now in the game. Is you have baseball people that, all right, this is baseball. This is what I think about baseball. Then you have analytics. This is what I think about baseball. And when they get off, it's hard to get the paths back on track. And to have people
It's,
that,
it's a lot of this going right now.
yeah, to be able to teach it, to be able to say, like, how can we improve whatever it may be? Or, hey, like, you're good right now. Like, let's use those numbers. Maybe it's for you. Like, maybe that's actually where you need to be. Like, how do we get it back to that? And be able to coach guys accordingly, because I mean, not everybody can hit with runners in scoring position. Not everybody can be a situational hitter, and not everybody can be a two-strike hitter. And it's not that I don't want to say that they can't. They can. Most people don't know how.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're talking about like a ball like right down the middle, like depending on the situation of the game, like a ball right down the middle, like if it's a tie game and nobody's on base, like, yeah, maybe I try to take that. Maybe I try to do damage on that. But let's say I got like a man on third with less than 2 outs. Like I might be trying to shoot that to like right field to make sure that I'm not getting out front of the slider. Right. And so I can kind of cover a multitude of different pitches in a zone that I can accomplish the job at. A pitch down the middle, I should be able to, do whatever I want with that pitch.
So like that's where I think some of the I would say the old school mentality of having like the veterans on the team like that. Like I came up with the Braves, or we had the Bernard Gilkey's on the bench, guy that was an ex MVP for the Mets. All these guys like, hey Cory, you're 21, you can't do this, or you can't do that. This is what we do. Make sure you get up at 9 in the morning. So like you played a long time. You were high round draft, first rounder, correct?
Yeah, supplemental.
Supplemental first round draft pick. Like for me, and I say this a lot, the one thing that I think that I was missing, and so what we do here at Hearts and Minds, by the way, we're a mental coaching group that we do. We talked about it before, but for guys that don't know, so we're all about trying to help guys play optimally, think better, perform better. I needed better mentors coming up. I came from Abilene, Texas, where all I knew was what the school was telling me, right? And I had a dad that played football, but baseball, different. We all came from small towns. What did you have mentors? Like, what was guys that helped you mentor through baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was always attracted to talking to coaches that had played and that had experience. When I was with the A's, when I was first kind of breaking in, like Mike Gallego was our infield coach. Phil Gardner helped out a little bit with us as well. Kurt Young was a part of the staff, Chip Hale and Ty Waller. Like I was always like in their back pocket of like trying to get like little nuggets from them daily. Like especially like I one of the conversations that sticks out, because I went from catching a lot. I think like the most I played in the minor leagues was about 120 games. To then like when I became a starter at third base, my first year fully was 2013, and now I played 158 games. Like your body goes through like a transformation like through that time. And learn it, like especially for younger players that are playing this, like when you go from high school to college, like you got a gap of games that you're playing. Now you go from college to pro ball, like there's a big gap of games that you're like it's not like in high school you're playing 3 games a week. Now once you go to minor leagues, you're going, and it's way easier now in the minor leagues than it ever has.
It's crazy.
But even with that said, you're playing 6 games a week, and you have to know. Like I remember when I was first in pro ball, like every game that I lost, it was like it killed me, because I was in that college mindset of just kind of like every game was so important. Not to say that it's not important in the minor leagues, but it was like I had to learn how to handle losing games, and I also had to learn how to deal with more failure than I ever had to deal with in my life, because most guys that go to pro ball, like you're a stud going before, so you really didn't have to deal with a lot of failure to that point. And so that was a big factor. Darren Bush, who was one of my managers, he was when I got traded to the A's, he was my high A manager, double A manager, ended up becoming my triple A manager. And I remember when I was in AA, and I was actually having a good year. I was hitting like 270. I had like a good on base. I wasn't hitting for much power, home runs wise, but I had a ton of doubles, and I was walking and driving runs in. And I just remember I was like, man, I just wasn't ever happy. I was like I was calling games, and one guy that would come in for the bullpen would give up a run or two, and I would start feeling like crap about it. I'm like, man, like I'm gonna get this guy released,
Yeah.
and because I'm calling the game.
Yeah.
And so I took like that. I took it personally for myself, and I was just walking away every day, like not feeling good about myself. And so I had a meeting with him because I was thinking about quitting. And I was telling this my situation was going on, and he's like, JD, he goes, I'm in my uniform right now. Why do you think I'm in my uniform? And he was writing his reports at the end of the game. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, tell me. And he's like, well, right now I'm thinking baseball. Like I'm writing my report, I'm going over the game, I'm analyzing it, and I'm writing the reports. He goes, but as soon as I close this laptop, I go take a shower, I take the uni off. He goes, there's no more baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone who's obsessed with the game and obsessed with my craft, like that was hard to do.
Yeah.
It was hard to like turn it off. And when you're doing that for 9 months, you almost have to kind of like, you have to be able to have that switch at times to just be like, all right, I got to be able to turn it off right now, and then be able to be ready for the next day. And how I came to do that was after the game, I kept my uni on, and I went over my bats. I went over my bats. I went over my fielding plays, or I went over my calling the game, what I could have done better. And then I tried to have a plan going into the next day. So whenever I left, I knew that I was prepared going into the next day already versus shutting it down or, moping about whatever had happened. And by the time I got to the yard the next day, I already had a plan of attack, and that helped me feel settled at night, so I could actually, kind of get my mind off things a little bit.
What? So like, that's crazy to me, by the way. Like, what gives you that mentality? Because like, I work with kids from youth guys to some pro guys, college, high school, things like that. And the one thing I don't see, like, you don't like losing. I know this.
Right.
I know that, and you're really good or bad. I don't know. I think it's good, but some people don't like it. But you're really good about challenging your teammates.
Right.
Like, I know that you do that. I've known you. I've heard it. I've seen it. But for me, I want the guys that I coach or train to be that guy that's like, hey, when you see your other teammates slacking, like respectfully say something to them. And I don't see that happen a lot. But what gave you that winning, that I don't want to lose mentality? I don't think kids nowadays, the majority, they don't really, winning is not that important. They don't mind losing. What gave you that?
Yeah. I mean, I was competing ever since I was like 5 years old. Like I started playing football when I was 5, baseball when I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of the culture that I was brought up in at that time, it was winning. Like there wasn't just trophies being handed out, like not to like bang on guys now, but like everybody wasn't getting a trophy unless you went and earned a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a kid, like I lost a couple of times to our rivals, and I remember just sitting there like crying, like as a kid, like, and I remember having that feeling, and I'm like, I hate this feeling. And so like as a young kid, I just always, I had that mentality that I hated losing so bad that I was constantly trying to challenge myself, push myself so that I could be on top. That was my whole thought. Like I felt like I could do enough and to make it happen for us to win games. And fortunately for a long part of my career, I mean, I was blessed to be with a lot of really good teammates, but I want to say the postseason in the big leagues 10 times.
That's crazy.
It never went to a World Series, never won a World Series, which that sucks, and I hated every moment of that. But at the end of the day, it was always like, how do I push myself? And I just had that mentality. It's like, if there is no staying the same, like if I'm staying the same, I'm getting worse.
Yeah.
Like, because especially once you get to the league, once you get to pro ball, once you get to college, the talent level all gets about the same. Now you have your freaks of natures like your Shoheis, your Trouts, your Harpers. You have Ken Griffey Juniors. You have those guys. But at the end of the day, it's the mentally in between the ears
Yeah.
and your ability to keep getting up when you get knocked down, because baseball
Ultimate failure, bro.
is the ultimate failing. It
Ultimate.
drives you crazy. Like it can you can do everything right and not have anything to show for it. So it's like, from a kid that, all of us as young kids were like, oh, we're hitting 500. That's great. Blah, blah, blah. Well, everybody did that. That got to this
Yeah.
level. Now
If
you get
you
to
got to
college.
that level.
Yeah, now you get to college. Everybody was a shortstop. Everybody played center. Everybody pitched. How do I separate myself? Then I get to the big leagues, and I'm like, I start getting that bump in the road where it's like, I don't know. Like, it's a push or take, or give or take, of like, I might not be a big leaguer. And then, like, for me, like, I had to change like what my definition of success was. Like, how do I make success more attainable by not going 4 for 4, by not, calling a shutout, or making a single play. Like, how do I find success in what I'm doing, and how do I approach that?
So when you think back to your career, and I know for me, I learned a lot of this stuff late as far as the mental part, but like, what were some of the toughest mental things you had to deal with? Obviously, dealing with failure, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Dealing with failure. I mean, I think too, it's like, when you're in the minor leagues, you're trying to impress
mm-hmm.
to be able to get into the big leagues,
Yeah.
right? And there are times when you forget about winning, and where you get just so self-absorbed of like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I need to do this, I need to do that. When probably, like, I'll give you like one of like my biggest aha moments, and it had nothing to do like with just hitting. Like, from like a mental standpoint of like where like I took like the next step, and it actually came in failure, right? So in 2012, I started the year in the big leagues playing third base, and then 18 games in, I got demoted. And I called my mom, let her know like, hey, I'm going back to AAA, and she's like, she wants to blame everybody under the sun. Oh, the GM, they ain't giving you a chance. The coach ain't, you ain't doing this. I need to call your agent. Blah blah blah. This, that, and another, right?
Travel ball style.
Yeah. And so, to my mom's, obviously she's team me.
Yeah.
So she sit there. I didn't do anything wrong in her eyes.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just let her know. I stopped her. I was like, Mom, I appreciate what you're saying. I go, but at the end of the day, they gave me the chance.
Yeah.
I had a uniform on.
Mm-hmm.
I had at bats. I played in the field. Like, they gave me an opportunity, and I didn't do what I needed to do. I said, but don't worry, because I'm not gonna stop until I figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, don't sweat. You don't need to call anybody. You don't need to do this. Like, I promise you, like, I'm not gonna stop working until I get this thing turned around.
So we got a question. You were traded early in your career before becoming an MVP, right? How did that change your mindset? Like, how did that make you even feel being traded?
Yeah, I mean, when I got drafted by the Cubs, and really, like, it was like that from like day one. Like, after getting drafted, like the first conversation I had, I didn't even get called. I was first round supplemental. I didn't even get called after I got drafted. And I got called up. I got woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning by like our scout. He was like, "Hey man, what's going on, man? Your agent said you'd sign for this, you signed for that." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Good morning." Like,
Like,
what?
thanks, bro. What's up?
I wasn't even a part of that conversation. I call
Yeah.
my agent. Like, I don't know. That's why I hired him.
Yeah.
And so like immediately I kind of got a bad taste.
That's weird though.
And then I went to instructional league to where like I sat in front of my locker for like an hour and a half. Nobody told me what I was doing, what I needed to do. I'm just sitting there like, oh, okay, like whatever. And I had a couple not great experiences leading into that. So when I got traded, it was almost like a breath of fresh air for me.
Thank you.
And we were actually supposed to play um, the A's low A team was supposed to play the Cubs low A team, which I just got traded to the A's.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to follow the team bus because we were playing at Wrigley Field. It was like a unique game that they had, and we were playing at Wrigley Field to play this game. And then I got a call from, I don't know, I can't remember if it was David Forrest or Billy. And they're like, "No, we're going to get you out of the Midwest League. Like, Midwest League's where hitters die. Like, we're going to send you to the California League." And I was like, hell yeah. And so I went to the California League, and the first game we were in Bakersfield, which Bakersfield was not ideal to say the least. It was very, like, I played in community park ball leagues that were better than this field.
Yeah.
But I saw like Chris Carter hit a ball like 480 feet that game, and I was like,
stupid pop.
I don't know if I can do that.
Stupid pop.
Yeah. And I mean, he was just torching everything. And I got lucky early on. I kind of had a couple of ground balls with singles. I was hitting like 200 at the time with 6 homers in low A. And I started getting it going a little bit with the plate. Then I start banging. And another time, like after I got traded, like Tim Lipman, I don't know if Lip was in this conversation. But Darren Bush and Greg Sparks they sat down in the room with me for like an hour and a half. They're like, "Hey man, like what's going on?" Like, "What do you mean?" Like, "I'm good." And I was always like very outspoken, and I came in, I didn't really want to like say much because I knew that could come off wrong at times. Yeah. And I literally for like an hour and a half, I sat there quiet, and they just kept like asking me questions. And they're like, "Hey, we're not leaving here until like you start telling me your story." And like the game was about 30 minutes away, and I was like, "All right, like I was supposed to be starting catching here in a minute," and like we ain't leaving. And so like eventually, like I had to start kind of like telling my who I am and all this stuff, and from that point on, it was like I knew that they had good intentions for me.
Yeah.
Because when I was with the Cubs, like I became very guarded because it was like things that were going on. It was like people were taking like little things that I was doing and trying to throw it back in my face all the time. And I was just trying to play as hard as I could and trying to be me. And it made it very difficult to do that.
I know that for me, being an athlete or whatever, pro ball player, it becomes sometimes if we're too naive, we trust too many people. I'll learn to stop trusting a lot of people, and like, how did you? I mean, I don't know. I mean, just judging by the story, that became something that might have been tough too. But like, how do you deal with trust people? Because I know, like, for us being athletes, we go out in public, we do these things. Like, how did you deal with maybe even just trusting organizations? Because I know I'm more of a I'll believe it when I see it. I don't really trust what anybody says. I've heard things from GM, "Hey man, you're our guy. We're gonna do this," and all of a sudden, no, we're gonna put you on waivers because of this. Or I got screwed out of being on disabled list one time because I was on the big league roster, and I thought I was done playing. They're like, "Hey, if you come out here and do this, you can rehab with the major league team." And I'm like, "Okay." And then 2 days later, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna send you down." And I'm like, "Oh." So like for me, the trust factor is very tough because it's tough to know who's actually on your side. This is not just in pro ball for guys who are listening. This is also just in baseball in general, college, but how do you deal with just the lack of trust? You just hope it works out.
Well, I think first off, like when I was like trying to make it per se, like I wasn't looking to like have trust, I guess you could say. Like I was looking like for myself, like I'm putting it on my plate. Like this is on me.
Yeah.
It ain't on them. It ain't up to my coach to figure this out. It ain't up to this person to figure it out. The GM, it's up to me to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then like kind of leading into that, like I ultimately just at the end of the day, it was like I need to be genuine to myself. Like who am I? And I remember like I just told you in 2012 when I got sent down the first time after 18 games. Well, before the season, we started in Tokyo. Before the season started, Bob Melvin told me that I was going to be the starting third baseman. Yet after when I got sent down, I played 9 games. Eric Sogard played 9 games at third base. And so I kind of caught wind of that the night before, and I was like looking up some stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm like, so I went in there to that meeting. I think he was thinking that I was going to be like, oh, I'm so thankful for this opportunity, which I was, because I wasn't even a third baseman at that time. I was catching in the minor leagues, and I went to the Dominican Republic to play third, and then Scott Sizemore went down, and I kind of fell into that position. And so I told him, and I was just like, hey, like, he asked me, he was talking, and then I was like, hey, is it okay for me to speak now? Like, I try to be respectful about it, but I wanted him to know, like, my mindset.
Yeah.
And part of that conversation was, I was like, look, Bob, like, you told me I was going to be the starting third baseman, yet I didn't start every day. And then once I realized that, like, if I didn't get a couple of hits in the game or whatnot, like the next day I might not be in the lineup, then that made me start pressing. Like that's not your fault per se. Like it's up to me to handle that. But if it was communicated to me that I was like, hey, he's gonna play here, I'm gonna play here, you're not the starter per se, but you're gonna play a good amount of games, then my mindset would have been different. But when you told me I was a starter and I didn't start, then I started trying to force my way in the lineup.
Trying to figure things out.
What do I gotta do? Like try to force it in the game, like it's like you're at a detriment, right? And so I left that conversation with him very genuine, and he asked me, he was like, Josh, do you feel like if you played every day that you would have hit 300? These are my words exactly. I said, Bob, I'm not a fortune teller. I was like, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I would have hit 300. I go, but what I will tell you is that I've started and I've played every day my entire career, and eventually I figured it out.
Yeah.
And we kind of left it off at like around that type of like very respectful. I although that was very like kind of sarcastic, I left it very, very respectful to him. And I got recalled again later, sent down, some other stuff. And then at the end of the year, the last month and a half of the season, here's where this conversation comes back. And this is where I think that separated me and gave me that opportunity by being genuine to myself, is when I got recalled the last time, he pulled me in the office and he said, Josh, the job's yours every day. You're playing every day. You go play good defense, you're going to be in the lineup every day. And I said, okay, great. I'm not going to let you down. And sure enough, I played every day. I hit 290 the last month and a half of this season with like 8 bombs. And he pulled me in the office probably like a week before the end of the year and was like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, like, I'm really proud of you right now because we're not in the position right now if you didn't come up and step up the way that you did. And I don't know if you remember that 2012 season, we won the division on the last game of the year. So we swept the Texas Rangers and we won. And we were 11 and a half games back at the break.
Damn.
So But what that also did for me, those conversations, is now I'm holding myself accountable. Like, hey, this is up to me. Like, I'm gonna sit here and talk this talk. Like, I need to be making sure that I'm gonna be able to back that up. And that made that put it even more on my shoulders. Like, all right, I need to get this going. This is on me. Nobody else is gonna figure this out except for me. Nobody else is in the box with me. Nobody else is playing third or catching like with me. Like, I have to be in tune with all this stuff, and that's ultimately what happened.
So, like, how do you? I don't know. You've talked a lot about preparation, especially like the night before. And I know when
Mhm.
I deal with players a lot, especially the younger players. There's not a lot of talk about preparation. Not a lot of talk about being ready for games. Guys just think they're going to show up and succeed because they go to a lesson every week or they hit once a week. And like, how important is preparation and or consistency to you, and how do you maintain your consistency? Because you played a long time. You were arguably known for one of the guys to help make swinging different swings aware to everybody in the world. Hit the ball in the air, things like that, launch angles, all these types of things. You've been a revolutionary player. Um, how did you build routines or learn routines, and how do you keep yourself consistent?
Yeah, I think it's about building a solid foundation, and it's about knowing like what are you trying to accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it took me a while to figure that out, and obviously I picked a lot of people's brains, and I did a lot of studying on my own of people that were successful, and I had to build a foundation of who I saw myself as. How was I going to do that? And that took a lot of like soul searching, and I think for me, if I was a younger player, like from my younger self to like where I became like mature and what I was doing, is that when I was younger, I relied off like what my emotions were telling me was good and bad, right? So when I became routine oriented and routine orientated, or I
Routine
don't know.
oriented.
Yeah,
Routine
sorry.
oriented. I got you.
Yeah, a little tongue twister right there. And is when I took emotions out, when I could go look at my at bats, when I could take that out and say, all right, let's take the emotions out. But what was I thinking during that time? Was it good what I was thinking? Did that allow me to have success, or was it bad what I was thinking and that took me down the wrong path, and that's what led to this? So it was a lot of looking in the mirror at the end of the day, and like, was I putting myself in the right mental mindset to have success? And that's when I really took off, like to
Yeah.
really like get that mental space freed up of not being like, damn, I went 0 for 4 with 3 punches. Like, I suck. I'm never going to get a hit again. Or like, hey, I'm 4 for 4. Like, I'm the best player in the world. Like, you're riding like these highs, these ups and downs. And most young players have a high that's about a week or two, and then they have a low that's for a month
Mhm.
because they can't dig themselves out of it. Uh, and it's not because they're not good players anymore. It's because they're in the wrong mental mindset. And I can tell you this for a matter of fact. I played and had teammates that were way more talented than I was, but they didn't have it.
Yeah.
It's like if you got a Ferrari body and
Toyota
ability,
engine.
but you got a 2 cent brain, like, you're not gonna make it very far. Like, you gotta be able to think your way through things
Yeah.
and think it the right way, not the wrong way. And I think that's where the veterans come into. And I remember, like, for Johnny Gomes, like, he was a mentor to me, like, when I kind of broke out, because I came up in the air, like, for me, like, I swung really hard, like in the minors and stuff like that. And people would throw at me just because I swung hard. And so I was always worried about like pissing somebody off because I didn't want to get smoked in the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went to him or he came up to me, or he was like, "Hey, what were you doing there?" I was like, "I don't know, man." I was like, I'm like, "Did I do something wrong right there?" He's like, "Listen, dude." He's like, "You worked." I was after I hit a homer, and I
Yeah.
was so paranoid that I pimped a guy or whatever that I was gonna get thrown at. And I was like, Did I show him up or did I do this?" And he came up to me and he was like, "Bro," he goes, "You know how hard you worked your entire life to hit a home run in the show?" He goes, "Don't let them take that away from you." And he goes, I'll let you know if you screw up." So like when I had that veteran guy, a guy that I respected,
He's intense too.
yeah, and now it's like, all right, now I can just go play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it gives you an environment, and that's what, and I would say, like, for me, like my first little time in my first spring training and things like that, I had all my team was old. We had Chipper Matic, Glad, and all these
Mm,
guys. So like they created this environment at the time for all the young guys. Like, hey, you can go make mistakes and it's okay as long as you're working hard. And
right.
I think now, again, with the youth game nowadays, a lot of these organizations or schools, whatever, they don't have that. So these kids are literally playing, trying not to make mistakes when actually facing the danger of those mistakes is what's going to make you great. You're going to have to
Yeah.
go do something difficult sometimes.
Yeah, like if you aren't making mistakes, like you're not pushing yourself,
Not
especially at
pushing.
an early age. Like you gotta find out like where your threshold is, and then be able to push through that. Like you gotta know like, all right, where's my weaknesses at, and now like that's gonna like that's my next route of how to develop.
I
If
don't
I
think why.
hide and shy away from that, then you're gonna get put in this little box to where he's like, oh, he's a nice player, this and that, but he can't do
Doesn't ruffle
this.
any feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, I
don't.
mean,
I just think,
whatever it is, like from
yeah.
like a hitting standpoint, defensive standpoint, from a mental standpoint, like
I don't think guys test their limits enough now because they're just like I said. I think they're playing not to mess up, and there's some very talented players that are still out there doing damage, but it's just trying not to disappoint, not mess up, not sometimes scared to be confident or cocky. And I don't think nothing
mm.
wrong with either one of them. Just could be a good teammate, but
I
scared to.
think I think confident, like to me, confident is knowing you're a badass and like you can,
Yes,
but like you're actually doing it. Like cocky is like you think you're a badass, but you're not.
a lot of times it comes with insecurity.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I mean, we've all been there at some point, like, and I'll be the first to say this, like, if you don't believe in yourself, like, you can't expect other people to believe in you either. But there is a way to go about that. And as I said, like, for me, it was about being genuine to myself.
Mhm.
I think, like, the point as far as like the young guys and stuff are coming up is like, if we're talking about like guys in the show and stuff like that, is when you get to the show, like, and you have 21, 20-year-old kid, like, you might need this guy.
Mhm.
Like, we need this guy to play. So, also, what comes with that, like, as a veteran guy, if you're coming at a young kid and you're kind of correcting him and they don't have that ability to not be emotional about what it is, like you might lose that kid. And you're
100%.
like trying to like you need him. So it's almost like you the game has hurt itself. Like when you and I were first coming up, it was like, hey, this is how we're gonna go about it. Boom, boom, boom. You do this, you do that, like you're good.
Mhm.
And then like when you made it, now you start kind of making that.
Mhm.
But now you have these kids like you got from day one, you got all social media announcing this guy's coming
Every,
to this show. So it's
yeah.
all about them to when the guys that are good want to come in and do what's best for the team.
Mhm.
And then their abilities are going to show up doing that.
Good. Yeah. Got another question. What were specific drills or even mental cues you used before stepping into the box? Um, I know that I had to just kind of clear my brain. I was a reaction guy. I had to almost find something outside of baseball to think about because I knew my direction. I knew what I wanted to happen. I just had to like almost not think baseball and just like I'm gonna just beat the pitcher. I didn't think a whole lot. What about you?
I think the most thing that I really focused on in the box was like when to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like when do I need to start? Like so it's like whenever like there's all different kind of pitchers. You have guys that have like a short arm
Yeah.
stroke to where like okay, I'm gonna have to get it going earlier, or they have a short stride, or you have like guys like DeGrom that are like long and they're out there. You have all the time in the world to you actually start later, even though they're throwing 100, you know, to be able to like time up whatever their sequence is. And I was always trying to focus on like, what's my sequence need to be on sequence with him. And so
Well,
the easy way to
with a
say
hand
that,
pump too.
yeah, the thing, and with my leg kick, it was always like, when do I need to get started? Because I think a lot of guys that are, especially young kids, like they start way too late.
Way too late.
And you gotta like, and this is what I talk about a lot of like going in slow motion and stuff like that, but working at percentages. Um, it's like, all right, what percentage, like how long do I have between that arm getting to here and me being able to recognize? Like, I need to be at a certain position when that happens. And the easy way to say it is like, I needed to know when to start. Because if I started on time, then I could get to my point where I needed to on time. And that was going to give me the best chance to see the balls and make good decisions.
I don't think guys know how much time they actually have, because I don't think that the one thing I didn't learn until late, like I was a very good hitter. And when I learned how to time, I would say that baseball kind of became easy. Actually, I
Yeah.
learned how to time from Jose Bautista video one day. It was like it's a YouTube video called How Jose Bautista Changed His Swing.
Yep.
And I'll never forget it, because I was in winter ball and I just came off an Achilles surgery. I'm like, man, I lied to the team, said I was ready to play, and I wasn't. And these guys out there right before the playoffs on Adderall, eyes are dilated, throwing 96 and sweating. I said, man, this is real out here. Like, this is real. But the video was strictly really about his leg kick versus his swing. And it was basically how he got his leg kick up to the apex of where the pitcher gets ready. And like one side, all I had to do was, for me, when I developed my little back tip, was I'm making sure that my tip and my leg were ready at release. And from that point, I could just read and stretch whatever I have to do. And I just learned to get up super early and I could just ride it out. And versus what we see a lot of is I got to get my foot down early. And it's like, well, it's late because it's never getting up.
Yeah, and so like that's great that you said that. It was because like when I was in the minor leagues, like I was the same thing. I was always like taught, hey, get your foot down, this and that. And I actually, what that did to me was I started toe tapping, not even knowing that I was toe tapping. It was like, and so when I started going outside the box and I started looking at them, because I remember I went deep and like I hit 2 bombs in right center, like to right center in AAA. And one of my teammates, Dallas McPherson, he comes up to me, he's like, bro, he's like, when you start huh?
Dallas McPherson?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's like, when did you start toe tapping? I was like, I am? He's like, yeah, you're toe tapping. And I was like, then I started thinking about it. I was like, shit. Then I started like trying to like time my toe tap, and I kind of got thrown off a little bit. Anyway, I say that to say it was like getting your foot down for me wasn't the solution, because when I got my foot down, my brain knew that I wasn't ready to hit. And so then I would go again to get into that position.
You started stopping.
That's what I'm talking about. Like as a player, like as a hitter, especially, even pitchers, like they have to do the same thing. Like you have to know what your sequence is. What is my sequence? Like what am I trying to accomplish? And you do that work, the prep before the game. So now like you can make it simple going into the game. It's like, all right, here's what he's doing, bang, bang, bang. Like here's where I start. Now once I start, like now things start to fall into place. It's not like I'm not in the box going like 1, 2, 3. No, I'm like, let's get to 1. Once I get to 1, now it flows.
Yeah.
And then now it becomes you're reacting like, but at the same time as a hitter, you're trying to control timing when the pitcher's the one actually throwing the ball, right? So that's like where you're talking about is like, hey, the game starts slowing down because it's like, hey, I knew I just had to get my tip right in my front leg turn, boom, like right there. Like once I got that, like I was ready to hit, right? And for me, it was like I had to get my gather of like, all right, boom, boom, like up, and my hands were gonna come down, boom, like now I'm ready. Like, cause now the next move, like once I go forward, like that's gonna start separating, because that was my move. Like that was a move that I trained. And yeah, so it's like that's like the preparation, like before, like going in to the next game, like all my work would be like designed for like off the starter. I was like, like at the beginning of it, it was like, do I have a hole?
Yeah.
Like, is there like a hole of what I'm doing right now? Let me work. Let me get on the tee. Let me get some slow motion. Let me get spread out into my legs. Get to my load, or the end of my load. Let me get back to the foundation. Then the prep started going like, all right, this guy is throwing sinker sliders today. So it's like, what I don't want to do is get pulling. Like I'm not hitting balls to left field in batting practice. Like I'm working to like left center to right center, staying to the big part of the field. Now, if it's a four seam guy and it's like a four seam curveball guy, now I might be like, all right, I'm starting at the top of the zone for the four seam, and I'm trying to get some head out.
Mm-hmm.
If I get into like an advantage count, like, all right, I want to work on that because in the game that might be required for me to do that.
Well, yeah, when you got the force, and you don't have to worry about the late movement either. So it's not like you have to take an account of like, well, this may cut at the end or whatever. Like facing like Yamamoto, that guy sucks to face, man, because like you're looking for where it starts at to where you make a decision, and he might sneak the four seamer by you, but it's like, oh, this starts here, now it's not there, now it's not there. That guy sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing with your eyes, right? Like he's playing with your eyes, and that's the biggest difference, like that you have in like the big leagues is guys that especially that have movement is the balls that start in the strike zone are normally disappearing out of the strike zone. And so I say this all the time, and even for like young hitters or whatever that's out there. I mean, really for me, I didn't really have to start learning this until I got into AAA, probably like in the minor leagues, to where guys were cutting it, sinking it, changing speeds a little bit. And then when you get to the big leagues, everybody, you got to really start focusing in. But in order to be a good hitter, like you can't hit everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can't hit it all.
You can't.
Like, and especially when you're scuffling, like you need to make it as simple as possible. It's like, all right, today, like, and this was another thing that I had to learn mentally. Like, I'm not setting myself up to go 4 for 4 today. I'm setting myself up to have 4 great at bats. Right. And so like now, like when you start taking that mindset and you can walk away, like I just see it too many times throughout the course. And even myself, like I did it myself. I saw it too many times in myself, like going up there first pitch and you roll it over to third, you pop it up to right field, like a weak pop up, roll it to short. And you walk away from that bat and you're like, I didn't learn shit.
Yes.
Like, to me, guys that are doing that are guys that are hoping one runs into the barrel.
Yeah.
To where those aren't the guys that can hit with guys in scoring position, because to hit with guys in scoring position, you got to have a good approach, and you got to be able to execute.
Good plan.
And not going up there and swinging at the first pitch just because it's the first pitch.
Just because you don't want to strike out.
Just because you're scared to strike out. Like,
I don't want to hit with 2 strikes. I want to strike out.
Yeah, and so like if to my next piece of advice would be like, if you're scared to strike out, then you need to work all day like you're in a 2-strike count.
You gotta create those scenarios. I talk.
You got to create it, and you got to put yourself in that environment. Hey, it's 2 strikes. Like, okay, now I got to figure out like how can I cover a multitude of just pitches and ranges of speed and still put a quality swing and give myself a chance, right? And especially towards the end of my career, I wasn't as good about that, and that's why I struggled. And but when I was my best, like I could go I could literally like flip a switch and go like, all right, I'm in a great count, right? Let's just say 2-1 count, and I'm hunting right now. And let's say he makes a good pitch on me, or let's say like he fools me and I swing and miss, or I take, and he does. Now it gets a 2-2. I could immediately go from 2-1 of like I'm gonna get you, to 2-2 is like, all right, now I'm getting to first base.
Yeah.
Like now if he throws a fastball, like I can take that fastball and hit it to right field and take my line drive and the bat's over. Also, if he hangs me an all-speed pitch right here, I can hit that in the gap and hit a double. You know, and maybe hit a home run. But that wasn't the end goal, right?
Yeah.
It was being able to like flip that. And the only way I learned how to do that is when I was training. Okay, when I was practicing.
Yes.
I wasn't swinging 100% all the time.
Thank you.
I was swinging 50. I learned 50%. I learned 60%. I learned 70%. I learned 80%. I learned all these different percentages, and still, like what a lot of guys have a difficulty doing is if I tell you to swing at 50%, they stop moving.
Yeah. Or they tense up and try to go slow.
They sit here and start doing like this. And I'm like, no, we ain't doing that. Like. Now going back to the minor leagues, I learned this one year. I wish I would have paid more attention to it of what I was actually doing. I got traded to high A, right? To the A's, and I went to high A. We went to the playoffs. Well, I caught like 59 straight games there.
God, bro.
And we went to the championship, and we were playing in high desert. And ball flies there. Ball flies, and I'm sitting there in batting practice. Like I literally like had nothing. Like I felt like I was swinging like a wet newspaper. And so I literally like because in batting practice, like my best bolt in high desert, it felt like it was going like, boop, like, or like hitting the fence, you know? And so I just made a game out of it. I was like, all right, I want to see if I can take like a full swing and just bloop it over the infield. And I was just like, that was how I like had to like tamper my ego down, you know?
Yeah.
Of like playing this own little game inside my head of like that was gonna be cool, you know?
Yeah.
And I hit like 450 with like 6 bombs in that championship. And when I look back at it a couple of years, it was like, oh shit, like I was actually working at a percent, like I was dumbing my percentage down, but still trying to make a full swing. So like that's like what you actually have to do at 50%. It's like, all right, 50%, like I'm just trying to cruise and find a barrel, but still move. Okay, now I want to go to 60%. What's that feel like? I want to take it up a notch. Boom. Oh, okay. There's 60. All right. All right, now I got 60. I want to turn it up one more notch. Here's 70. Oh, damn. That 70% just got me 100%. That ball just went in the third deck.
Because you got adrenaline flowing too, but you're staying loose.
Exactly. Like you know,
that's the first lesson I learned. Like my 100% does not work when I got through a 96.
Hell
it
no.
It just don't work, man. Hey, we got a question. Oh, go ahead. Say what you got.
My like when I knew I had a pitcher, like when I in my mind he had no chance.
Yeah.
Is when I could work at like 50% and just like scorch a foul ball like right over the first base coach's head. Whack! Because like I'm not really even on your fastball right now, and I'm not trying to hurt the fastball, but I'm getting to it.
Yeah.
Like you can't get it past me because I'm working at such a controlled percentage right now.
Oh, yeah.
You don't like you make one little mistake in here and you're like we saw with the Rojas at bat. Like you make one mistake and you speed it up and it's a homer.
That drove me nuts. That's like throw him a fastball somewhere.
Yeah.
That drove me nuts. Parent says, my kid froze in a championship at bat. What would you say to him as a coach or a teammate?
He froze. Like what?
Probably just froze up. Probably didn't swing. More than likely, what happened was he made the moment way too big, and
Yeah.
probably got
Okay, so he froze like where he wasn't being himself normally.
Probably more than likely, yeah.
So I would say it'd be like I would be challenging my kid to mess up.
Thank you.
Dude, mess up. Hey, like the game of baseball is not a perfection in the first place.
No.
Like you need to the first thing that I do with kids when I do a drill. Like, because most kids are going to be here and nothing moves and they just kind of like fall into the baseball. The first thing that I say, I'm like, hey, I want you to pretend like you're playing slow pitch softball right now. And I want you to take a gangster hack.
Thank you.
Like, I want you to miss, especially if they're not being like aggressive.
Need a knob drills and stuff like that.
If they're not being aggressive and ready to hit, like, hey, dude, like, I want you to see like how aggressive you can be until you mess up. Like err so far on being aggressive. Like my big thing is like when I get with kids, I'm like, hey, I want you to take your hands to your hips, and I want you to stand straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to like as soon as like if I'm doing a flip, like it's like when my hand gets here, or like on the way back, or if I'm throwing, it's like when the arm starts coming up. Like I want you to feel like you're gonna go up, forward and back with the hands, forward with the legs, back with the hands, and I want you to turn, and I wanted it to be as aggressive as possible. For me, that wasn't like you never had to worry about me like being too aggressive. So I had to learn more of the control aspect of it. But for kids that aren't aggressive, you got to get them in an aggressive mindset. Like, hey, dude, like if you swing at a ball right now, I don't care. Like we're swinging. And then you train them. Then you start training their eyes to say like, all right, now whenever you're throwing to them, you mix fastball, curveball in there, and now you're saying like now you teach them to be like a yes no hitter versus like when they're young, like they need to be yes, like we're going. Yeah. We're going.
We're swinging at everything till we can't.
Yeah, and then you can start backing that down.
Like I tell my guys when I was coaching a lot, like before every game, it's like who can make the best mistakes.
Yeah.
Like go out there, have fun, make some aggressive mistakes, leg kick, do what you got to do, play like you're playing neighborhood baseball. Because at the end of the day, let's just say your kid makes it to major leagues. The odds of somebody asking how good they were at 10, 11, 12 is very slim. And at that point, why do you care? You know, like
I mean, most of the kids are going to be good anyhow, but that are going to make it to that level. At the end of the day, like if your kid if the moment's getting too big for them, they're feeling so much pressure to perform and do all the things right that you got to almost back off of them and be like, hey, dude, like go play. I want you to air. If you swing and miss at a ball in the dirt today, good job.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's that ride home and from the park is why they're freezing up. They're worried about somebody disappoint. And versus like what you just said, like when I talk to parents, I'm always like, hey man, one of the best things you can say to that kid is, I really love when you're aggressive, especially when you miss.
Yeah. And my thought, like when I work with young kids is, and like I have some friends back home that I do stuff with, or I would work with a little bit. I'm saying 3 positive things to them for every negative thing that I say. Mm-hmm. Because like a young kid's mind is so impressionable at that age that if it's negative, and even if they're not doing something right, like how you say it to them, like, hey, you don't swing at a ball in the dirt. Like, hey, dude, I love that aggressiveness. Get the pitch up a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, you can flip those
like
words.
Just how you flip it and change the words around. Like you can still get your point across, but you need to get them in the limelight of like, hey, dude, like because let's be honest. Like I was drawn to sports because I was successful at it. Mm-hmm. Like that gave me like a good feeling. That competing aspect gave me like a sense of accomplishment, right? Yeah. So like if you're not accomplishing, like it's tough to especially as a young kid, especially with social media and all the stuff that's going on now. It's like everybody only sees everything that's great. They might, for myself, they might have seen a Sports Center clip of me hitting a homer, but they didn't see the at bat before that where I
Yeah.
punched out on 3 pitches. But like as a professional, like the whole mindset of being a professional is like you don't let that at bat affect the next one in a negative way. You know what I'm saying?
How did you deal with like media critics, pressure, public expectations, things like that?
Well, my expectations I felt like were always higher than what anybody else could put on me.
Good.
And at the end of the day, my entire goal as a player was to do one thing positive to impact the game for us winning. Once I did one thing, now I do the second thing. Once I do the second thing, now I try to do the third thing. And some of that might not even be me actually making a play or driving a run. And maybe it's saying like, hey, go to my teammate, like, hey, dude, like his slider's backing up right now. Like, look for it close to you right now. And then now he clips somebody. Now it's like, now I get a nugget out of that because I wasn't being a selfish teammate. And now I went and picked him up. And now he feels good. Now maybe because he has success, got that guy out of the game. Now they bring in a guy that I like to hit, and now I get a good at bat off somebody.
That was your turn, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, there's so many games inside the game that you could have success with that as a young player, like you don't even realize.
Well, it's always a game within a game. Like
Yeah.
when I talk to other coaches that are telling young people, sometimes they're so focused on trying to win games sometimes when most of these kids aren't that competitive. It's different times. And I'm like, it could be what you just said. Like, hey, man, there's a game within a game. Like, tell the younger player, like, this is what we're doing today. This is our goal. It might be all the right-handers are working towards who can hit the ball over second base the most. Or who can have, it could be, we talked last week with the college softball coach about having a certain criteria for positive bats. It could be seeing more pitches, laying off certain things, whatever else it is. But because, like I said, most of these kids do not know how to compete. They maybe just enjoy putting the uniform and playing baseball. But when you give them the game within the game, maybe they even play within themselves. They'll compete against themselves. They may not compete against that team, but I know for a fact you walk in the clubhouse like, hey, man, who's going to get the most hits today? Sometimes it becomes a team competition that day. It's friendly and it's fun. But it's always
I mean, that's like, having the clubhouse banter and stuff like that. I mean, Bautista and Edwin and stuff and like that. I remember even when I was with the A's with Coco, like Coco was having a great year in 2014. I think he hit the most home runs of his career. And Coco never looked at him like that, looked at himself as like he could do damage like that. And I remember, hey, man, I'm like, you're at 19. 20's coming around the corner. Let's go. I'm behind you. Let's go. Get on base, drive some runs in. I'm cleaning you up. Like, it was that challenge. Or like with Bautista, like maybe I had like 20 homers and he had like 15. I'm like, bro, the Jose Bautista I know is hitting 50. Like, where you at? You catching up?
Where you at, player? Like, what's up?
Let's go, baby. Like,
you 10 behind right now.
Who's it gonna be? And I you could ask Todd Frazier this. He got off to a hot start in like 2000. When was it? I think it was like 2017 or something like that. And we played him early in the year, and he clipped some homers. He had like 10, and I had 2 already, or something like that. And I was like, bro, he was like, me and Todd are kind of cut from the same cloth. Like, we like to talk a lot of shit.
Him and his brother, hilarious.
And I was like, bro, it's a nice start you got on to him. Like, but before you know it, I'm gonna hawk you down here in the next couple of months. Just be ready. We're gonna bet. We'll bet. I'm like, here, I'm giving you. You're up 10-2, whatever. I'm like, I'll spot you another 5. I'll spot you another 5, and I'll still beat you. And I think he clipped me that year, and I think we made a bet for like $10,000 or something like that. And I ended up paying him. He never cashed a check. He just has the check in his little bank.
That's crazy. That's wild.
So it was just like, I was trying to feed off any type of energy that to push myself.
I mean, there's got to be an element of competition, fun, and things like that. And I think, again, with the younger guys, like with you parents, like, is your kid even having fun? Are you giving them the avenue to have fun? And
yeah.
That's the tough
And
part.
I mean, I think some of that too is like, look, at the end of the day, not every kid's a Major League Baseball player.
Nah.
But I think what sports does is it can teach you a lot about life and how to deal with that failure and how to overcome those points that were rough, those rough patches. And I think a big part of that is having a good support system and, of having like somebody there that, maybe as like a parent, you don't know what the right thing to do is, like from a mechanical standpoint, but like from like a encouraging aspect, and also like having a feel for like, and this is what I would do with my teammates, is like, hey dude, I'm gonna challenge you. Like, let's go, dude. It's time for you to step up. Like, we're all doing this, we're all pulling this, and you can make it as fun as you want to. Like, I would say the more fun that's involved as a kid, I remember when I was 5 years old, I was playing tailback for our, for like my little mini Mike's team or whatever like that. And we had this 8-year-old who was our fullback, and he was always like, he's a big kid. He was always like anytime we got inside the 10-yard line, I'd run it all the way down the field, and we'd get to the 10, they'd hand it to him, and he'd score the touchdowns. And then my mom, before the game, the last game of the season, she was like, look, I'm going to give you $20 if you score a touchdown today. And I broke like 2 60-yard plus touchdowns that day, and I made like $40. And I'll never forget that moment. But that led me to have success. It's like, oh, I can do this. And then we're like the next year, we're like, now like I started playing a little bit earlier than what I should have. But like the next year, I was like, and then by the time I got to 8, like I was like scoring 20, 24 touchdowns a year. You know what I'm saying? But like that gave me that little bit of like positive reinforcement to go out there and like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Like I actually had like I think that was the first time, because I don't even think I cared about scoring a touchdown. I was like, oh yeah, I'm running the ball. That's cool. Like, that's fun. But then it was like now I have a goal to like, I need to score a touchdown. I can get $20. Like at that time, I could go buy like a new pair of shoes.
Like I look forward to playing the game now.
Yeah, like just like a little like motivation, and it could be like going to get an ice cream, or it could go like whatever kids are into these days. I don't know. Like I got two little ones.
Well, you got 2 little ones and a wife. You're out in Arizona right now, which I'm coming to play golf and I'm gonna shank some balls in the woods. But one of the last questions I got for you, man, so you can get you out of here and go watch a movie or something. I don't know. I got to watch clothes. I'm gonna do something exciting. But a lot of us, I know for me, I didn't have this issue. I think when I played, I did. But we don't talk a lot about like when people retire a lot. Like a lot of us deal with mental problems, the identity, having an identity tied to being a baseball player and things like that. How did you separate yourself from being the bringer of rain and Josh Donaldson to now, especially now with you're at home, you got kids, things like that. How do you separate that? Because I'm sure obviously people see you, they're like, obviously that's you because you're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, like whenever I was done playing, like I was done.
Done, yeah. That makes it easy though.
Like I felt like if it was like a perfect situation that I fell into, that I could still like have a solid year, not ever like as like best as like my best year, which for me would still not feel good, because I think like the thing that I miss the most about playing is playing at the highest level. Like the last couple of years where it was like a real grind, like I don't miss that. Like that wasn't fun for me to go out there and struggle, like especially being borderline perfectionist of
Mhm.
what I do. And so when I retired, it was like, yes, like all right, I'm ready. Like I'm done. I had my time in the sun. I'm good. Um, but if I didn't have golf to kind of go into after that, and like feel like that there was something that I could like do at a high level again, not to say like I'm going to be on PGA Tour or something like that, but like a high level for me,
Still compete.
yeah, still compete, and it would have been even more difficult for sure. Just because you're used to kind of, and then I think like just being at home, my wife, like she's used to being gone
It was
4 or 5 months
different
a
routine.
year.
Yeah, totally different routine.
And so like now like you get back in and like you're trying to develop these routines, like you're trying to get to like you're around your spouse, you're around your kids every day. Now they got like obviously we have our own type of energy that and I have two girls, and so I have a lot of feminine energy at the house. And now here comes this big, or not big, but this masculine energy that I'm used to being around the boys and talking shit. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, if I say one word, like there's going to be feelings out there that are hurt. And so like really having to check myself, and that can be
Yeah.
challenging, it is. And that's a whole another, another chapter that like I'm still learning like through this process. And it hasn't been on my own. Like there's been a lot of like people that have been involved to try to help with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, because it's different, like it is, and anything that's different, there's going to come, um, there's going to come some rubbing,
Rather big
and
backlash, like that.
yeah, to figure out what that next step takes.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've, just talking to a lot of guys. I get DMs all the time. Everybody thinks I got my shit together, and so like I get DMs all the time from guys that I'm like, dude, you made trillions of dollars. And it's like for me, I had a crap ton of injury, so I don't really. It was easy for me to say I'm done because I'm like I accomplished what I could accomplish when I could accomplish it. Like I was a good player. I was
Mhm.
respected. I did my thing. I played in other countries. The biggest thing for me was routine. Like, okay, I got done. I got home. I'm like, crap. Okay, what do I do now?
Now
And
what?
I was playing a little golf at the time. I was playing a lot of golf and wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then let's go to the gym. All right, so I go to the gym, and so I just had to redevelop a routine that
Mhm.
kind of almost made me feel like I had to trick myself and still thinking I'm doing baseball stuff. Like it was like,
Right,
okay, I'm getting ready for something I don't know what it is. Could be golf. At
right,
least I get to compete. And that's the
right,
biggest struggle I see for guys. And then, again, for you, and you have, to me, I've watched you, I've talked to your wife before in the past, like good support system, of
right,
people that, aren't looking at you as to be the baseball player,
right,
you know,
right.
this, they're coming to you where you're at. And, and that's a plus, man. Um, I'm going to give you this last question on the thing. I'm going to let you go, man. But, for athletes, not just baseball, but as you watch football, etc.
Mhm.
What is one mental lesson you teach the next generation of athletes?
One mental lesson I would teach the next generation. I would say that be comfortable being uncomfortable, you know? And
Yeah,
so it's like push it. It goes to what we were talking about, and I'm that ain't my quote. That's a book from. Oh, that's a quote from Tim Groover. I read his book. He's talking about Michael Jordan. He trained
you
Michael
sent me
Jordan.
that book.
So
You
what's up?
sent me that book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you sent me that book. It's called
I'm trying to think what it was. It was
it was Michael Jordan's like coach or something, trainer.
yeah, he was his trainer.
Redemption,
He he wrote a book. He worked.
relentless.
The relentless.
Relentless.
And he was talking about like how he trained Kobe, trained MJ, trained all these like high, these very successful athletes. And he goes, the biggest thing that separates all of them is being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that says a lot. It's like challenging yourself of waking up in the morning, 5 o'clock, going and doing a lift, going, you're at practice and you're dying, like it was, and you want to quit, you want to tap out, but to push yourself through that, and like the rewards are going to reap that. I tell, with kids, especially that are one sport athletes, and I tell people, I'm like, and even like talking, like reminiscing with my buddies about, like, man, it was crazy what I did as a kid, like what my summers look like. And like my summers, like I'd wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, go to football practice. We would build up to 40 full sprints on a track. Then we'd go lift weights. So I'd be there from 6 to 8. Then 9 o'clock basketball practice started, and we did like a full court press. So we were running up and down the whole time there for 2 hours. And then from 1 o'clock, so we were there from 9 to 11. Then from 12 or 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, it was baseball practice. And then sometimes if we didn't have full practice, maybe it was an hour practice and then the game. And then the other nights it was 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, a basketball game. And I always wonder, like, man, why can't I put any weight on? And I'm sitting here, I'm literally nonstop all day long, to where, but that was fun for me because it was like, I can remember all those times when I was like, man, I don't want to run anymore. I don't want to lift anymore, but I kept doing it. And I kept pushing it. And then I went from my freshman year of high school running like a 5.4 40 to the end of my sophomore year. I ran like a 4.5. And then now, like, you start doing that and you start seeing these big results, and you're like, man, okay, that's all right. Now
I got to push it again.
Now we're on something. Like now, like, you know what I'm saying? Like now you can become a guy. And I think for me is like, I never was that comfortable because I always played with kids that were above me.
Yeah.
And so I was never, like, I don't want to say never, but very seldom was I the best player on the team.
Yeah.
So well, I always had to prove myself. I always felt like I had this chip to, like, I need to go. And I played everywhere. I played the outfield. I played catcher. I played infield. I played it all. And for me, that gave me such an insight of what the whole game is from this perspective, and all this. And I got to learn so much about it. I never hung my head because I was confident in who I was. Like, I know I'm good, but I'm not as good as these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they're better than me, but my goal is to be better than them. Yeah. The only way that I knew to be better than them was to outwork them.
Well, you got to love the grind a little bit, man. I don't think, again, like this, like, if you want to be great, like you just said, you got to be uncomfortable being uncomfortable, and sometimes you're going to do things that other people won't do. And
you got to
just the fact that you sat, with your uniform on after games and preparing for the next day says a lot just about your career.
Yeah. I had to learn that, though. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't something that it didn't come natural to me. Like, I think it's more natural for us to all get into our feels and our emotions. And, it's especially easy. Like when you're in high school and you're doing everything and, you're putting up these numbers, you're doing this, these schools are looking at you, these schools are looking at you. But then when you get that reality check, when you go, like, all of us at some point get that reality check of, like, we're not that good.
Especially when you go pro.
It's like, okay, like, now what? like, because there's a million stories out there of guys like, oh, my coach screwed me. I hurt my shoulder. I did this. I did
I threw
that.
90 in high school.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like everybody. Okay, well, that's cool, man. I'm glad, good for you. But did you push through it? Did you push through when things went a little bit sour, or did you let your emotions and what people were telling you about yourself affect you to where you didn't want to do it anymore? And I can honestly say, like, I didn't do that. Like, there was a million times where I could have, because I was never the guy that people said, "Oh, this guy's gonna make it. This guy's gonna be in the show." Nobody said that about me.
Yeah, but you did.
I did. I did. You know, and that was my goal. Like, that was my thing. It was, but even like where my mind was, like, to sit back and think about like where I ended up getting to in my career, I don't think I saw that. So it was like, especially like when I started getting to like a little bit of like a fun, like kind of like that up and down phase of AAA to big leagues. It was kind of like, I hope I'm a big leaguer. You know,
it's not looking good right now, but we're gonna figure it out.
I'm seeing my buddy go up. He's going up. This guy's going up. I played against this guy in college. He's in the big leagues. Like, what am I doing? And that's, to fully wrap it up. It was like when I could start looking at myself from a non-emotional standpoint of like not judging myself for what I did, but now learning from what I did. Like, that's when I was able to take that next mental step. Not to judge. All right, hey, I screwed up. I can't change that. But what can I change? I can change the next time I get put in that situation. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's freaking awesome what it is.
Yeah.
I love you, Josh.
I love you too. I appreciate it.
Man, guys, download the Focus 5 app. It'll be in the link or in my bio, I'm very sure. Dude, I'm glad you came. Really
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Man. I'll be talking to you soon. We're coming out to AZ to see you too.
Let's go.
All right, big dog.
All right, homie.
Yes, sir.
Peace.